back in March, I was one of those few hundreds of people that was in line at somewhere for your launch there. And now I have you here for Soul Series. So I'm very hyped and thank you for joining. On today, can you let everyone know like who was Davin Gentry? Gentry.
Yep, you got it. Gentry.
Okay, Gentry. Anyway, so who are you on today?
So Davin Gentry. I'm from Madisonville, Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
I live in Northern Virginia and Los Angeles. So most of the time is LA, but Virginia about, I don't know, a third of the time, or yeah, probably about a third of the time. But just a creative, fashion designer, graphic designer as well.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like clothing consultant. So I consult for a few brands. I manufacture for a few brands, private labels. I design for people. Really just overall like creative in the fashion space.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up well, like after high school, going to college, I went to college for advertising. That's where the graphic design really kicked in. I would do mixtape covers, album artwork for artists, musicians, like all over Kentucky, Atlanta, Tennessee, New York, like everywhere.
Everywhere.
And then I was also doing the hand painted clothing at the same time. And then those just kind of, both of those together, graphic design and hand painted clothing, just kind of formulated what you see today. Like that's really like, I guess what kind of prepared me for Diet Starts Monday. So that's who I am at this moment. We'll see, like every couple years, it's kind of like a little shift. So
yeah,
we'll see what I shift into next.
Before we go deeper into like just getting to know you and your brand and just everything like that, art wise or creative wise, with everything going on, like how are you keeping your soul prospering? I see, everyone sees, you know, you have this nice scenery behind you, but whether it's vacationing or however, like where are you finding your like pockets of joy?
I mean, vacationing would obviously be what I wish I could just always do, but this is really like, I don't know. We were supposed to come to Miami like 2 months ago, but that was right when quarantine hit, or the virus hit, and it kind of canceled all of our plans. But up until this trip, I've really just been like locked in the house designing. I took, after the day that we had the somewhere event, I was just honestly feeling like super overwhelmed and overworked. I had just kind of like pushed myself too hard for like too long. And coronavirus, like as bad as it is to say, it really couldn't have come at a better time for me, just because I needed to like, I would hardly ever like just take time to just like stop working and just focus on like myself or my health or whatever. So I really needed that like break to just, I don't know, just reset and like, I don't know, it put a lot of things into perspective, like to show you like what's important. But so what I was doing was just designing, spending time with family, like just trying to like focus on, I guess, my own personal health, opposed to like always focusing on the brand. Like, I mean, even before Diet, like I've been an entrepreneur since 2004. So
yes, there were some dates out there, cause
yeah. So I mean, we're going on like almost 20 years of being like a full-time entrepreneur. So like my whole career has always just been work, trying to get to the next level and continue to level up. So I really just needed a second to just like focus on myself. So staying at home, designing, working out, watching TV, like just all same stuff everybody else was doing most likely. But that's, designing is really where I find my joy. Like I get so wrapped up in the business most of the times that it's kind of hard to be as productive from a design standpoint.
Yeah.
Because usually what I do is I find these pockets of time where I am like blessed with a break to be able to focus on designing, and I'll just bang out, I don't know, 10, 20, 30 different designs, and then I'll sit on those until whenever. And so I'm always like ahead of the curve when it comes to designs, but that's really like, that's the part of the business that I like the most. So it sucks when you get so wrapped up in meetings and conference calls and paperwork and contracts and like all the legal stuff. Is just like, that's the stuff nobody wants to do. So but that's just, I don't know, I'm just glad now I'm kind of getting back to a point where I can focus on designing and business a little, since it hasn't like fully opened back up. So
Yeah, definitely.
but once everything's back open, it's going to be
Back to
most
it.
likely like 90% business, 10% design.
Are you still so I do my research, are you still doing your daily exercise of like 3 designs in 30 minutes, I think it was?
I try to. Sometimes it varies. Sometimes it's like sketching. I'll just sketch for 10 minutes, 3 different designs. Sometimes it's digital on the computer.
Yeah.
I haven't been doing it every day, but I still do it like a couple times a week. And that's still, I don't know, it's just super productive for me. Like it just really shows you that, like, I don't know, once you kind of develop a certain aesthetic and you have the skill set to pull it off, like it shows you that you don't have to spend 10 hours mastering. Yeah, you could still get the same successful design in 10, 20 minutes. So I actually was reminded about that today. Somebody hit me about it, asking like if I was still doing it, and I'm like, yeah, I still do it. I don't always post it just because sometimes sometimes stuff is good, sometimes stuff is not. So, but yeah, it's also another thing too, where it's like sometimes I feel like the consumer might think that a product isn't of the same value because less time went into it. So I'm also secretive about like what took me 10 minutes and what took me 10 days. So, right.
Okay. Whether you use all the designs or not, you have a pocket of like a mass collection of designs. So
yeah, like I literally, let me see. Here we go.
Yeah, there we go.
All right, so I literally have this 30-minute folder. It just has like all of these designs, and like it'll have like each thing will have like a few different designs in it.
Variations.
So some of them may end up being used on like a hat or a sock or a shirt, or some stuff may, like I said, some stuff may never get used. But a lot of stuff is like just simple stuff like this, which we did this on a hat, and this will be on a new water bottle that's coming out in like a few weeks. But it really just comes in handy for like those simple things. It's like, we need a sock for this collection. Like, okay, let me go into this folder and see. Yeah, let me see if I have anything that works in here. So, but then I really started to see that it related to a lot of other people. They're like, yo, I could apply this in like a workout, like, and just, there's so many areas that you can apply it. So
yeah, it's discipline.
Right.
Well, now that we know design is a part, like I feel like I know this, well now you guys know this, design is a part of like who you are. I wanted to ask, now I have a few questions after seeing that, but I wanted to ask, like, is art or like creativity a craft in your family? Like, did you grow up around people, or is that something in your family?
I have one aunt, my great aunt, Wanda. She was never like a trained artist or anything. Like, she didn't go to school or she didn't teach art or anything, but she just could always draw like anything I wanted her to draw. Like as a really young kid, I would ask her to draw, and she would always just I don't know, she would just teach me like early fundamentals. But she's really like the only person who had any bit of artistic
Yeah.
ability growing up. But she's really like who I credit like instilling that passion.
Yeah.
Uh, my family always brings up this like story of me as a kid where I would always anybody that came over, I would always make them draw things for me,
Yeah, I'm
and
like,
it was
okay.
always it was always a hammer though. Like I would always make people draw different hammers, like draw I think it's a ball pen, a ball pen hammer, like all these different hammers, which I have no clue like
I was gonna
what
say, like, looking back, is there anything symbolic about the hammer that you can think of?
my great granddad was my great aunt Wanda's father,
Okay.
and his house, well, him and my great grandmother's house was literally 20 feet from my aunt Wanda's house. So growing up, my mom, she would work. So a lot of times I would ride the bus to my great grandma's house after school.
Okay.
So I would be with them a lot. And he had this garage where he would like work on stuff. And I would always go in there and like watch him and stuff. So I think maybe just seeing him with the hammers, maybe just like, I don't know, spark some like fascination. But I literally like, I have no clue what I don't know what yeah, I've never like went and bought wood and like hammered and screwed some stuff together. But the only thing is like our first company Premium Co was jewelry. And
Yeah.
so just like hand making jewelry, that was like
So you guys, okay. So I knew about premium, and actually that leads into my next question. But I was gonna say I didn't know it was handmade. Like I didn't know anything about that.
yeah, so it started as like actually it started as like I have a couple bracelets on now, but I mean it started as kind of just like gemstone bracelets. And then as we got more, I guess once you start creating with just like local goods that you can find at like Hobby Lobby and Michaels and stuff, you hit a ceiling where you're like, all right, I need to move past that. So
Yeah.
we started creating our own different molds. So like obviously like all of this stuff is jewelry that I designed. So we would design like Jesus pieces and crosses and Virgin Mary pendants and like all of these other things, and it just kind of like progressed to like more fine precious metals, I guess. And then that's around the same time as when the clothing took off for Premium.
Okay.
And once that took off, we really just kind of were done with the jewelry. But then about a year or so into diet, like I just had that desire to like get back into jewelry.
Yeah.
So we incorporated a little bit of jewelry into diet. But then there was, I think during quarantine, it made me think back to it. And there was something about being able to like build something instantly, like get beads and put a bracelet together or whatever. And I just recently kind of got back into making a couple bracelets, just like what it always comes from necessity. Like I want something and I can't find it in the market, so I'll try to make it. So that's even what started it to be like. That's what started my hand painted clothing. Like I wanted certain shirts that I just couldn't find, so I started painting them. And
so you would rock them. Like I wasn't sure if it started from you just having a skill and people started like trying to commission you, but it sounds like you also would literally do your own clothes.
Yeah, so it started as me making like a couple for myself, but like instantly, like all everybody in my circle wanted them. So it was just like I was literally like, if you brought me a shirt, I would paint it for like $10. Like this was like, it wasn't like I was doing it to start a business. I was doing it just because coming from Kentucky,
yeah,
we didn't even have like stores that sold the clothes we wanted to wear. Like you had to go to Nashville, which was like an hour and a half away to get clothes, or Evansville, which is like 45 minutes. But even then, you might not find what you were looking for. So we were just real big on like everything. Like your shirt had to match your shoes, it had to match your hat. Like, so just like painting to match our whatever shoes were coming out. And then
That makes sense. Yeah.
really quickly, this is at the same time when I first got to college, and like this person would see the shirt and they would be like, oh, where'd you get that? And then it just kind of like spread. And then before I knew it, like, I don't know, I had taken over like the campus for
That's what it sounds like.
this type of clothing. And then this was MySpace days. So like spreading the word on MySpace, like you might not even be old enough for
No,
MySpace,
stop. Don't do that. I was on my
but like posting stuff on people's walls and like flyers and banners and stuff. Like hurricane out here.
I was about to say it looks stormy.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean that's like once I got to college, that's when it like turned into a business. But even then I never
like planned
ran it. Well, no, I just never ran it like the best way. Like it wasn't organized. Like I didn't know what I was doing. I was just a kid.
What brought you to DC before we get to LA? So
my girlfriend is from Northern Virginia.
Okay.
I had come to like stay with her for like a few weeks back forever ago. And she got a job at Georgetown Hospital like super, super quick. I was just talking about this today with DJ that's he lives in DC, Chris Styles, but I was talking about how she applied and got the job super easily at Georgetown, which is obviously like a renowned, like obviously university and hospital. But I was like, I had never seen anything like that coming from where I'm from in Kentucky. Like, kids like us don't get good jobs at hospitals and stuff like that. And so she was like, well, my friend's mom does the hiring. Like, if you put in an application, she could probably get you on. And I ended up applying and got the job and just never went back to Kentucky.
Okay.
And I just stayed out here. But at that time, when I got the job at Georgetown, it was really like a summer job at the same time as when we started Premium. And I don't know, I would be at work and like we would get orders from Premium's bracelets. And I was just like, man, if I wasn't in this hospital for 9 hours a day, if I was just like focusing on the brand, I could be making way more money than I'm making, even though we were making good money at the hospital. But and then we moved down to Hampton, where she was going to school at Old Dominion. And so we moved to Hampton. We were down there for like 3 years. And that's when like Premium really, like I quit Georgetown after the summer, and that was my last job. So I've only had probably maybe 4 jobs in my life other than like my working for myself. So I've been that 2-month job was like, even then that 2-month job was the first job I had for somebody else in probably 6 years. So, but it was just such a good job that I just did after that. Yeah, so that's what brought me out here.
Okay, how often do you, not now, but like in the previous years, how often do you go back and forth between the coasts?
I was going like every 2 weeks. Like I would go to like VA for like 7 days and then go to LA for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of just depends on like what was going on. But that was kind of I guess the most common structure was like 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there.
Okay.
But even before I had a place in LA, I was going to LA like 1 to 2 times a month.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm spending $2,000 a month on travel to LA. I'm like, I might as well just get a place
Mm-hmm.
and be able to go and stay as long as I want or as little as I want. Um, so I've been out there. I've had my place out there since like 2018, I think. Um, yeah, 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sounds like no, I'm glad you're dropping gears because like I feel like I got the sense that you've been like in this space in the game for a while, but not everyone knows, right? Thinking about LA, thinking about like manufacturers and stuff like that, and hearing you say like you didn't have like a structure back in college, like what would you say has been for Diet Starts Monday? What has been like the biggest, I don't know, learning lesson, rookie mistake you made starting out and how that kind of like just helped you in the long run?
Uh, I mean, the biggest mistake that we've made for diet was, and it didn't help us out. It just taught me a
Yeah.
crazy lesson that I should have already known. But when we started diet, like most brands, when they start, it's like a gradual like progression of events. Like you start with a product, you sell it, it takes a while to sell out. You make another one, you sell it, sell out, and then you kind of like work your way up to like this whole thing. But like with diet, we were coming into diet having 7 years of experience from premium.
Yeah.
So like the knowledge that we approached diet with was just like something that most brands aren't able to do. At the same time, we had John, who he's a guy like 500,000 followers. Like,
Yeah, I'm like
yeah, he's like, I don't know. He's just like, he's really good at marketing too. Like
Mhm.
he has a lot of followers, but he has a lot of followers because he's marketed himself
Yeah.
to get those followers. So uh, when we started diet, we hit the ground running so fast. With the day that we launched diet, we launched with the restaurant in DC.
Okay.
And I remember we were opening up. It was like, I think it was May 1st, 2017. We were opening. I was like calling people to come in to help work, like interns, like Wish MD. He was one of the people that came down from New York to help us.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm setting up the Shopify, like to take all our orders and stuff. And then I realized, like, yo, we don't even have a bank account. We don't have a tax ID number to open the bank account. And we're opening that day.
Uh-huh.
But so luckily, like I have friends who are bankers. I'm like, yo, can you just open this account? Blah, blah, blah. But kind of like the point that I'm getting to is like things were going so fast that,
You missed a couple things.
well, we never even trademarked Diet Starts Monday. And
Oh,
so
okay.
after like a few months, we're like, yo, like we got to trademark this. We forgot all about it. And so we went to trademark it, and somebody had applied for the trademark a week before we were applying for it. And so I'm still not like, my knowledge on trademark law and like intellectual property law is like not that vast. I was always under the impression that it's whoever's first to market. So like, say you start a brand today and you're selling product. I see it 6 months down the line, and I see that you haven't trademarked it. I go and trademark it. Usually, it's supposed to like, I'm, I think that you're supposed to like, if you went to file for it, you could get it because you were first to market.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to kind of like go through this whole court thing. And it's like a battle. So what everybody always says to do is like just reach out to the person who has it and offer them something, see what they want. And so I did both. I contacted the lawyers and we reached out to the guy. And the guy wanted like $25,000. And
I was
so,
hoping. I was hoping he wasn't gonna.
no, yeah,
Yeah.
he definitely did. And so we're like, all right, like he wants 25K, like, nah, like we'll just have our lawyers like fight it. And so talking to the lawyers, they're like, look, we can fight this, but it's not guaranteed that you're going to win it. Or if you do, and we fight it, you may end up spending 50K to fight it. When he's only winning 25K,
Mm-hmm.
it's probably smarter to just pay him the 25K. But for whatever reason, like we still decided
To go.
not to fight it. We're going to keep continuing to like try to talk him down. And we
Mm-hmm.
ended up talking him down and getting him down to like, I think 6K. So
Okay.
he wanted 25. We gave him 6, and we got the trademark. But the legal fees that it took us to get him down to 6K was
Yeah.
another 25K. So we still ended up spending over $30,000 to get the trademark when we could have spent a few hundred day one,
For
got
real.
the trademark before we ever even launched. So
Mm-hmm.
I was having this conversation with my partner Tyler. I think it was today or yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and we were just talking about how like a lot of the times people tell you like, okay, like when you start a brand, like start selling some product, get some money, make sure that the proof of concept works, and then trademark everything, get all your LLC stuff, your business license, like all of that stuff. But like now, at least the narrative for me is like anytime anybody asks me, like, no, like if you have any idea that you're about to launch anything,
Yeah.
like the first thing you should do is make sure that trademark is yours, because that's that little. It's almost like your diploma. Like that little piece of paper is worth
Yeah.
so much money. So that's definitely like
A little lesson.
that's the biggest lesson I've learned in my I would say 10 years in this specific industry.
Mm-hmm. Did you guys trademark premium? Like, did
Nope,
you? No. Okay. I
nope.
wonder.
We tried a couple times, but it was just such a common word
Mm-hmm.
that we could just never get it. We could never get it approved, and
Okay.
that was one of the reasons why when Diet/Monday came around, we were we were honestly we were over premium like 2016
Okay.
because we never we never set out an intention to create this like fashion brand.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like we were doing jewelry. I wanted to get back into fashion, and instead of launching another brand, we just launched the clothing under premium.
Yeah.
But we never liked premium we never liked the name premium
Mm-hmm.
for a clothing line. So we were toying with names that were like, well, we'll just launch like a subsidiary brand under premium that's called this or called that. And then it just so happened that John was like, yo, like I'm trying to launch this brand. I want to do it with you. And then once we launched Diet, I kind of brought the people from premium
Mm-hmm.
with us into Diet. So we just kind of just phased it out altogether.
Yeah. Okay. So hearing that about John, how did you guys connect? Like, obviously, he wanted to do this brand with you, but like, how did that come about? Like,
John and I have been like pretty much best friends since like 2012, 2013.
mm-hmm.
And it started because it started as like Instagram friends. Like
Yeah.
we have a mutual friend who kind of like connected us, and John wanted some of the jewelry, so I sent him jewelry,
Mm-hmm.
and then we would be in the same cities a lot of times, but we never like really hung out. We might meet up for like a drink at the bar or whatever, but that was kind of the end of it. And then one time I was in Miami, and John's lived in Miami like 3 different times. So this was like the first time that he lived here. And so I was uh, I was with some friends, and John hit me like, "Yo, are you in town?" He's like, "I'm gonna come pick you up or whatever." So he picked me up, and we just hung out, and then we just kept like building this
Mm-hmm.
friendship like we were into the same things. We liked the same designers, had the same taste in this and that. And uh, I was one of like his main like creative friends. Like a lot of his other friends are like athletes or musicians or like whatever. He didn't really have like anybody to like bounce a lot of his ideas off of.
Yeah.
So we we just always talked about doing something together. And he just one day he was like, "Yo, I'm really ready to like launch this brand or like start on this brand."
Mm-hmm.
He was like, "Do you want to be a part of it?" He's like, "I want you to be a part of it." He's like, "Do you want to be like a face of it with me?"
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "I think you should, because with Premium, I was just always like, I wasn't behind the scenes, but I wasn't like the face. Like Premium just didn't have a face to the brand." Um, and so he was like, "You need to be like marketing yourself. Like you need to be making a name for yourself." So he's like, "I want you to do the brand with me and be a face." So we came down. I came down to Miami and like we put together a collection, came up with the name, and uh, then launched the brand. But that's really like it was just like I always say that I think the main thing that kind of like built our relationship was I've ever since I've known John, he's been successful.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's always had like people around him that were like trying to use him or like whatever. And I never needed anything from him other than like a friendship.
Yeah.
So
That's what it sounds like. You guys built a genuine friendship from the start and then built
yeah,
a
so like we the next when he because he moved when he was here that time, he moved back to Pittsburgh. And then when he decided to move down here full time, like he came to Virginia in a U-Haul. Like I helped him drive the U-Haul down here and like helped him move in his place. Um, we just had like a genuine friendship. About probably about like 15 months ago, well, the start of 2019, John came to me and was like, "Look, John Geiger Co. is just taking off at such a crazy rate. It's going crazy out here. I don't know if you can hear these things like slamming.
Yeah, I do. I only heard two, but so it's not that bad. But I did.
But uh,
His brand.
his brand was just taking off so crazy that he was like, "Look, I can't even put any more energy out. Like he's like, this brand's taking all my energy." And I'm like, it's fine. Like you can step aside. I already was handling the design and the production.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, we got it. Like, don't worry about it. So early 2019, he stepped aside from diet. So he's just been focusing on his brand, and as I have diet. So, um, but it's good that like we're still able to like remain friends
Mm-hmm.
and celebrate and still keep that friendship, because a lot of people just like I don't know, a lot of when you mix business with friendship, a lot of times unfortunately it doesn't work out the way you want it to. So
Your newest clothing drop. How has that release been?
I mean, I'm a mixed kid from Kentucky at that. So
Glad you said that because I was gonna be like, I don't know if everyone knows that. I didn't know that until I listened to another interview. But okay.
yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't know, like, is he Hispanic? Is he Puerto Rican? Like, is he just white with the tan? What is he? Um, but um, so I'm a mixed kid from a super small town in Kentucky where like I remember experiencing racism as early as like third, fourth grade. And
Yeah.
I remember being in high I remember being in high school and like the girl that I was just like crazy about, she was white and her parents wouldn't let us date.
Yeah.
And getting out of school and going out at night and getting arrested and because of like racist cops and like getting beat up and pepper sprayed and like called animals and like all of this stuff. So like my experience around racism is like, it's just like I'm just accustomed to it. So what I did was I'm like, man, I want to do some type of design, and it wasn't even with the intention of like releasing a product. It was just like I want to create this design, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted it to say. Like I didn't know if I wanted it to be like aimed towards police or aimed towards just racism altogether. And I ended up like just reflecting on like one of the most vivid like racist moments that I've experienced, and it was with the police. And so I did this design that was like to protect and to serve who. And I posted it, and I got a lot of comments and DMs like, yo, like when is this t-shirt releasing? Like I need it. I'm like I posted like it's like a flyer. Like what made you think that this is a t-shirt other than the fact that like, you know, I had this brand, but I don't know if it's gonna be a shirt. Like it's just like a message that I'm putting out. And then I was still toying with it, like, man, maybe we should release this and like donate proceeds and stuff like that. But I'm really like meticulous with my plan of like action. Like I really like to take a lot of things into consideration and take my time.
Mm-hmm.
And again, coming from Kentucky, like we move at a slower pace, so that's just the way I operate. But my partner was like, Tyler was like, man, we gotta put something out. Like this is our way to like help.
Yeah.
Like we need to do this. And I'm like, I know, just like figuring out the right way to do it, figuring out who to donate to, figuring out the right messaging, because if you say it the wrong way, it's gonna look like you're this or that. And so I put together some designs, and it literally took me probably like 4 days to come up with like the caption for the diet post. Like it was a tough day to it was a super emotional day because I haven't really like processed that moment still like 20 years later. But ended up we put the collection out and didn't really know like how well it was gonna do. Like I knew that people would support it, but it literally like we sold more shirts that week than we sold, I don't know, maybe all year. Like we probably sold 6 months of product in that one week. The shirts that we released were $40. Our normal shirts are like 80. And we really just wanted to like really be able to donate as much money as possible. And so they went crazy. We're still selling like, I mean, I've had like a few orders just since the last 10 minutes of checking my phone. But I think what it also showed me is like these movements like Color of Change and Reclaim the Block and all of these, they need funding. There's also like a lot of other organizations that don't have that national spotlight.
Yeah.
That need funding as well. So I'm just trying to educate myself and like, all right, well, like what is my city doing? Like who needs help in my city? Like, I had a call the other day with a guy that's part of the housing authority in where I grew up, and I was trying to figure out like, all right, like what can we do that's not like I'm not trying to like just rebuild the playground and like repaint the walls. Like what can we do to really like help some people out? So, you mentioned the billboard cover, and that goes with that story. So
I was just about to ask that.
Okay, good. So I have a friend who is in LA, and he's just like super tapped in with everybody. And he texted me and was like, yo, like the people from think of the name of the campaign he did.
The show
It's
must
basically
be calls.
the show must
Yeah.
be called.
Mm-hmm.
So they were doing a shoot for Billboard magazine, and the stylist wanted to pull the shirt, but they contacted me on Friday, and the shoot was on Sunday,
Okay.
and our clothing is all made in Los Angeles, and the shoot was in New York.
Mm.
So I'm like, all right, like how am I gonna get shirts to New York by 8 a.m. from LA when I don't even have these shirts made yet? Because
Yeah, it
this
was.
is a pre-order.
Mm-hmm.
So I literally I was like, well, maybe I can find somebody in New York to print the shirts for this thing. That didn't work. Actually, I did end up finding somebody in New York who could print them, but they couldn't get T-shirts. And
Oh.
so I'm like, all right. Luckily, I basically begged my production manager in LA, like, do whatever you have to do to get these shirts out tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And because we ship all of our product to our different warehouses through air cargo. So like we knew that worst case, if I could at least get something on a plane by Saturday morning, I could get it to New York by Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
Then I just had to get somebody to pick it up from the airport and take it to the stylist.
Mm-hmm.
So it ended up working out to where he got the shirts made, got them on the plane at like 5 a.m. My homie Jude in New York was kind enough to like go pick them up and take them to the stylist. And then there was still the worry that like we did all of this. What if they don't even use the shirts for the shoot? Like, what if it doesn't make the cover? Like, but it was like either way, like it was an honor to like even be considered for that
Mm-hmm.
moment. And then I didn't even know when it was coming out, but I just started getting all kind of texts like, yo, like your shirt's on the billboard, like so she ended up wearing one of the shirts. But yeah, it was just like I don't know, it was a really crazy, stressful like week, 2 weeks, but
Yeah.
it's been like I said, it's been way more work than we anticipated. But
No, that's what I was wondering. Like, since well, it's interesting to hear like the timeline of that, and it goes back into your story, just kind of how it wasn't meant to be like a product. But I was gonna say, since the billboard, did like you guys saw the increase in orders?
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it wasn't like a huge influx, like it just went crazy. But the first day of the release is always like the peak, and
Mm-hmm.
then like we always only have our products up for 24 hours to begin with, so we never really see
Mm-hmm.
it trickle off. You see it trickle off throughout the day. Like when
Yeah.
we release at 12 a.m., you have the spike at 12 a.m. and then the rest of the day is just like downhill. And so it's kind of the same with this, where we released on like Wednesday or Thursday. That was the peak. And then it just was like slowly going down and going down. But we were still selling like hundreds of shirts a day.
Uh-huh.
And then when the Billboard cover came out, there was another spike where it came back up and we sold like a good amount. And then it's still like kind of like trickling off. But now people are just now starting to get the shirts
Yeah.
today. And so now there's been like another spike. So it's kind of just like up and down where we've been trying to figure out like, okay, when do we take it down? When do
Yeah.
we but then it's like let's just sell as many as we can, donate as much as we can,
Mm-hmm.
and then once it like fully kind of tapers off to where it's just not worth it anymore, and then we'll close it out and then just try to work on something for
The
the
next.
next drop. Right.
Yeah. So before we like wrap up and everything, I have a question about like just like what haven't you done that has like been on your heart, on your mind, where you're like, I don't know, everything with Corona, Black Lives Matter movement, the future is unknown. So if there's anything that's been on your mind where you're just like, I have to do this, like, is there anything out there? Because you've done a lot, but I'm like, is there anything else?
The one thing I would say, like, as far as like wanting to, like what I want to do I think the biggest thing that I want to do is just like something for Madisonville, which is where I come from. Madisonville, Kentucky is
Yeah.
a city that like we don't have we don't have people that make you do stuff like what I'm doing. Like you grow up and you either sell drugs
Or,
or you like get a job in like the coal mines or um, like you might, and honestly, that's about, you like get like a factory job,
uh-huh.
which like, it's like really like blue collar, like
Okay.
if I know friends that have money, it's because they're like in the coal mines or
Yeah.
they've had a good factory job for like their whole life. So you just don't grow up seeing like fashion designers or like photographers or
Mm-hmm.
podcast hosts or
Yeah.
content creators or like any of that stuff. So what I really want to do is like some type of like, the end goal is like to be able to build some type of center that uh, gives kids resources for that type of thing, like an outlet that shows them like, one of the jobs that I did have before Georgetown was I worked at like a community like rec center in the
Mm-hmm.
projects where I went to school, and I basically taught like a hand painted clothing class,
Uh-huh.
and but that community center basically had like a music division, had like my art section, they had this section that did like different types of dance and just all of these different
Outlet.
creative outlets.
Yeah.
And like Madisonville, Kentucky just doesn't have, they don't have people to like, I mean, now that there's social media, now people are kind of like waking up and seeing like, yo, like I have an interest in photography, like maybe I could do this or whatever, but there's still just no like, there's just no, it's honestly, it's almost like a no way out type of place.
Oh yeah.
So I'm trying to, I'm always talking with like friends about, you know, what can we do in Madisonville? What can I put together? And so like most of my upcoming projects, that's like first thing I bring up is like, yo, like I want to do this, but I want to do it in Madisonville, and I want there to be like this seminar where we're teaching kids this, and we're bringing in people to do X, Y, and Z. And I think like after Nipsey passed, that's really where that like urgency to like do something for home.
Yeah.
Because like if I don't do it, like nobody else is really gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
So like obviously there's like bucket list stuff that I want to do that's just like jumping out of an airplane or like that type of stuff. But like on like some what what mark do I want to leave or like what's my legacy gonna be? Like that's what I hope is like how can I make sure that a generation down the line has like more opportunities than what I grew up seeing. Because like
Definitely.
honestly, people ask me like, "Yo, what led you to this point?" And I could never really answer it because I just was like always such a go with the flow person that I just kind of like just like wound up where I'm at. It wasn't like I planned on getting here,
Mm-hmm.
um, but like I could have easily like went a different way and not made it here. So I'm just trying to like be some type of like light for the
Yeah.
community that made me. I've just always gone with the flow, and luckily
Yeah.
the flow has like gone in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
Like even just moving to Virginia on the whim, like
Definitely getting the
it's
job.
just like I get to these crossroads and like there's like a situation that causes me to move or whatever. And then when I get to that city, like I'm open up to new things, and then this opportunity comes, and it just kind of like shows me that I'm on the right path. So
Yeah.
I just continue to stick with what I know.
Mm-hmm. Wait, okay. So I was about to finish, but I caught you said you did not graduate from college.
Mm-hmm. No, I still have 11 hours left.
Is that because of the brands and everything? Like you were just like, let me pursue this, or Was that from
Really,
personal?
my granny passed when it was like I had a rough semester that semester. I had gotten arrested for some stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know why, because now if people are listening, they're gonna be like, "Well, what'd you get arrested for?" I had gotten arrested for receiving stolen property.
Okay.
I bought a TV from a guy, and it ended up being stolen, and which usually wouldn't be that big of a deal. Like usually, if you get caught with stolen property, they're like, "Give us the property back and no
Mm-hmm.
harm, no
Yeah.
foul." I gave him the TV back. I literally hadn't even opened it up out the box yet. But I gotta give full context because the only reason that I even bought it was because the guy worked for like an
Mm-hmm.
electric company, and so he was always like, "Man, I got this catalog of like wholesale electronics."
Okay.
And so he just hit me one day. He's like, "Yo, I have this 32-inch TV for $300 or something." And I'm like, "All right," like because 32-inch TVs are like $300. It wasn't like wasn't like I was getting a 50-inch TV for
Mm-hmm.
$50. Like,
Yeah.
so it wasn't like a red flag. And I remember my mom, she was in town visiting me, and I'm like, "I'm about to go get this TV." And she was like, "Let me know how you like it. If he has any more, I'll get one."
Okay.
And so get the TV, go to sleep. I don't even plug it up because it was late. And then the next morning, the police are knocking at my door, and I look out the window and I see the cops, and I'm like, "What is this about?" And so I go answer, and they're like, "Are you Davin Gentry?" I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Did you get a TV from so and so?" And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "Yeah, why?" And they're like, "It was stolen." I'm like, "Ah." I'm like, "All right." And so they're like, "There's a TV here," and I'm like, "Yeah." So I'm like, "I'll go get it." So I went and got it, and I'm like, "All right, I lost the $300, like no harm other than losing $300. And he was like, "All right, place your hands behind your back." I'm like, "All right." So I'm like, "Can I at least call my mom real quick?"
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, "Yeah." So I called her, and I'm like, "Man, that TV was stolen." Um, blah 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 blah. And she was at work, so she was like, "Well, I can't come get you."
Yeah.
So she called. I think she called my dad and my granny. Anyways, I get to jail, and it was like 9 a.m. and they're like, "You don't have. We're not setting a bond for you because it's a felony. You got to wait until tomorrow to see the judge." And this is just on some like, this is just race. This is just racism. Like,
That's what it sounds. Yeah.
why? Yeah, why are you not letting me? I didn't even get a phone call or anything like
Mm-hmm.
other than the one when I called my mom and the thing. So I got to stay in there all day, all night, and then the next morning I go to court. I got to go in front of the judge. They got my hands shackled. They got my feet shackled. Like walked me out in front of the courtroom like I just like killed somebody.
Yeah.
And then I get
Sounds real
I
dramatic.
get I get let out. Uh, and then they're like, "You may or may not get indicted." So like when the indictments come out, you either get indicted or you don't. And
Mm-hmm.
so like a few months went by, and I'm like, "All right." Like luckily that just like I lost $300, whatever. And then my dad called and he's like, "Yo, the indictments came out and you're on there." And so I had to go to court. I had to go to trial, and they were basically trying to give me 2 years for receiving a stolen TV. And then I ended up getting like 5 years probation. Luckily I had one of my teachers, which I'll mention her again in a little bit, but uh, she was friends with the lawyer who basically took my case pro bono, and they were like, they did everything from like, first it was 2 years, then it was 2 months, then it went from 2 months to 2 months served on the weekends. And then eventually it was just 5 years probation. But, uh, and then there was that. And then at the same time, like right after that, my granny passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man,
done.
You know, you're feeling this. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not even really like learning anything. They're making me take classes just to take, like,
Mm-hmm.
I got to the point where they wouldn't let me take any more graphic design
Yeah.
or like
It took a
marketing
lot.
classes. So I'm like, you basically making me take bowling just to graduate.
Mm-hmm.
And so I took the semester off and was gonna go back, and then I just never did because the brands just kind of like, I won't say they took off where I'm like, I don't need college, but they were just going so well that I'm like, man, I don't have time to focus on the brand and school. At this point, like, I might as well at least
Yeah.
get the paper just to get it. But
Full circle though, like I feel like your story is definitely inspirational. And I think like now just knowing the full story of you and then the legacy you want to leave behind, it was a reason why everything worked out how it did. So
yeah, I mean, I think I've always kind of said this, and even though I like sometimes get in my own head about it, but
mm-hmm.
um, like everything that I've like gone through has really like prepared me for like where I'm going. So I've always been like, man, like I just want to hurry up and get to like the success. But if I had like just like flew straight to the success, I may not have learned like some of those valuable lessons that I needed to like make sure that once I do reach the success, it's like a long lasting success and not just like a flash in the pan. So I'm here to be as successful as I can be so that I can help as many people as I can help. So that's kind of like, I don't know, I a lot of my friends keep saying that that's where they see me going is like,
Mm-hmm.
I guess not like activist, but like just somebody who's like really like trying to help his city out.
Yeah.
Um, and that's why like a lot of times I never really like I love being in like the DMV and I love all the love that I get from the DMV, but like I'll never claim to be from there.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the opportunities that we have coming up, I'm trying to like gear those towards Kentucky just because like, not to say that DC doesn't need those opportunities, but like DC is in a much better position than Kentucky is. So I just had to like shift gears. It took me a second because we would do so many events in DC.
Mm-hmm.
Man, we're not doing anything in Kentucky. Like, and Tyler's also from Kentucky. So, and we've never done anything in Kentucky out of
Okay.
the 10 years that we've been in business. So I'm excited to like,
Go back home.
I'm excited to like be able to like talk to these companies and
Mm-hmm.
like them, like it was a lot of, at first, a lot of them, they don't want to do anything in Kentucky. Like that's not a market that they're really interested in like rehabilitating. Like it doesn't make or break them. Whereas like New York, LA, Atlanta, Miami, Chicago, like those are like the key markets that everybody wants to activate. But
Mm-hmm.
just recently after this whole, I guess after we kind of went public with our stance on like police brutality and racism and everything, some of the brands that we're partnered with reached out and like, look, whatever we can do moving forward, like, because some of the brands, they already know that I've like presented to them these ideas for Kentucky. So they're like, whatever we can do to push that forward and make it happen, like we'll make it happen. So I'm excited, especially 2021 is when like I think the first one will happen, but we'll see. Like I'm just excited to be able to be in a position to do that. So
Yes, you got more work to do. We need you. So
yeah. Somebody DM'd me that the other day. They were like, "Yo, like be safe. We need you." And I'm like, "Man, that's deep."
mm-hmm. No, and it's good. It's good to hear that because I feel like, especially like not even with everything, just everything going on. Like I feel like everyone can use someone checking in, being like, "Be safe. You matter." So now
Yeah,
I'm telling you
exactly.
that I'm telling you that. So
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah,
I'll be safe, and you as well.
thank you. This was a great interview. Just yeah, again, thank you for being on here. Thank you for opening up, telling your story. I feel like there's a lot of lessons that my viewers, my audience, or just anyone who comes across this will learn about you.